Hi everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Tina Payne and I am the owner of M Payne Consulting, where I help nurses transform their lives by creating businesses and becoming entrepreneurs. So, today I am going to talk to you a little bit about the scrubs business, which is my specialty as far as coaching people and helping people get started with their business. And today's topic, I'm going to talk about whether or not you should decide to create or open up a brick and mortar store or to just focus on an online store. So the video is brick and mortar pros and cons, as well as pros and cons to an online store. So let's jump right in and get started. We're going to start off with the brick and mortar. So, if you are not familiar with me or you are really just getting started in this business, just so you are aware, I've been in business for like 2.5 years with my online store, Grace Health Scrubs, and I am based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And during the time of me getting my business started and launching, I was able to create some substantial income. And I also have been able to help other healthcare workers and nurses get started with their businesses. And so that turned into an entire second business, which is my consulting business. Okay. So I like to provide videos with a lot of value and I like to help people. So if there is a topic that you need more information on, please feel free to put it in the comments or you may email me and I'll put that in the description box. Okay, so let's just jump right in and talk about the pros and cons of opening up a brick and mortar. And so basically, when you are entering into any kind of retail business, there are a lot of things to consider when you are going to have a location. Now, a lot of people will say it's not hard to, open up a store and start selling and things like that. It's not hard. It's really not hard to just go and sign a lease somewhere and put stuff in there, right? However, it's going to be hard to make a profit if you have no idea what you are looking to do and build and you don't have a strategy or a business plan in place. So, with a brick and mortar store for a scrubs business, you are going to have a lot more overhead costs. So that is one of the biggest cons. So let me just start off with the cons and then I will go to the pros. So the first con of opening up a brick and mortar, if you are doing your research in this phase of your business journey and you're trying to gather information, the first con is overhead. So there have been people to say that you should have at least $50,000 to $100,000, set aside for your first year for expenses, for inventory, for all of the types of racks that you're going to need in your store, for employees, for liability insurance, for general insurance, taxes, all of these things that go into, having a retail space. You may have to remodel. You may have to pay for, certain things to be done through the city or get approval. So there's a lot of things to consider when you are just getting started and you're considering opening up a store. And so if you're like, well, I can do it for less, that is definitely true. You can do it for less, but in order to not put yourself in a bind, 6 months later, where you're like, well, if you're not making as much as you thought you would, you want to have some cushion. You want to have capital to kind of ease your mind as you are growing and building this business in your town. And so it's very, very important during your business planning process to research other stores in your area, research the area, the population, the type of people who work in that area, how much do they make a year annually, how much, what is the, the annual, the population count. Also, where do people work? Is there stores, other stores nearby that sell the same types of products? Are there hospitals around who could benefit from your store being open, or facilities? Who are they using now? Those are a lot of questions that you want to definitely ask and make sure that you are doing that research before you sign a lease somewhere. Okay, so that is the biggest con that I would say that stirs people away, or at least gives them an idea of what to expect. Okay. It's not impossible, but you need to have the money to cover those expenses before you open, because you may not have sales the first day. Okay. That's very, very likely that depending on your marketing. So you want to just make sure you're aware and outline things as much as you can. Okay. So the second con is basically liability. You have more liability when you are dealing with the public, obviously, in any kind of a business, but insurance, you definitely have to pay for insurance and things like that. So you want to make sure that your products and your store is insured, where if something happens, whether it's a fire, whether people um, break in your store, if you have security, things like that. I mean, if you have like a security system. So you want to make sure that you are doing things in the right way and you've contacted the necessary um, place, the people to take care of that insurance for you. And then the other thing is, just only having local people shopping with you can be a con. Now, it's not a con if you have traffic, obviously, people coming in your store. That's an amazing thing, and that's exactly what you want. But you are limited to just that city that you're in if you don't have an online presence. So if you decide not to deal with online at all and you only want to have a brick and mortar, then that is a limitation, because the way that the economy and the way that people shop now is changing very rapidly. And so a lot of people really like the convenience of ordering online. And so if you only are dealing with the store being open and not dealing with any, creating a website and things like that, then you are limiting your potential sales, you're limiting your brand awareness and things of that nature. So it's not a con that can't be corrected or can't be improved. All of these things you can definitely improve. So I don't want to deter anyone from opening up a storefront, but just know that you have to also do your research as well as account for all of the different things that you may not be thinking right away. So local presence only can be a con. So just work on that. Okay. So those are the three cons I have for you for a storefront. And now here are the pros for the brick and mortar. So the very first thing I wrote down was that as a scrubs business owner or uniform retailer, you're going to have a larger pool of manufacturers that you can work with. Okay, so you're going to have a larger, network that you can access. So currently, if you have a storefront and you're in a really good location, meaning you're not too close to any other uniform store, then 99% of the time, if your business is set up properly, you can get any manufacturer that you want. So, which means that you're going to be able to have the top brands in your store. You're going to have, more access to those manufacturers, and your customers are going to be happier if they are able to come in your store and see their favorite brand. Okay, so that is a huge bonus as as a uniform retailer to have, unlimited access to the manufacturers. Okay, so that's number one. And then number two is really big. Okay. So this is a really good pro for the storefronts, is that your customers can try on their merchandise. So the fact that they can come in, try on multiple different styles of scrubs, able to see what fits and what doesn't fit and try on their favorite things. And just some people like that experience of going shopping and having to try on things. Some people like that. A lot of people, they just they just have a whole different mindset on shopping. I personally do not like going to shop. I don't like trying on stuff, So once I know my size or I know what style I like that fits, then I know I can just reorder it online because it's convenient. But your customers are going to return things a lot less if you have a storefront, because they have that chance to come and try things on. So that is huge. I mean, that will save you a lot of money. That is going to make things much easier for your store. Okay. So, and then also you have lower shipping costs if you're, you know, shipping things out to people, but less returns is a big one. That's one of my favorite ones. And then number three I have is community support for your store. So having the community come and rally behind you as a new business owner, whether you have a grand opening event and you have worked with like your chamber of commerce in your area, people, do like new businesses that are benefiting the community. So you have that ability to maximize that brand awareness, that community involvement. You can literally work directly with the hospitals or facilities and things like that. So you are absolutely in a good position if you are ready, and have everything kind of checked off your list as far as getting your store open. So having a community buy-in is a huge pro. Okay. So those are my three pros for brick and mortar. And now I'm going to move on to online store or e-commerce, pros and cons. So I'll start off with the cons first, just like I did with the other business model. So the first con with having an online scrub store, because this is specifically what I know about and specifically what I coach and teach others about, is that you do have limited access to manufacturers, okay? Which means the top manufacturers in, United States. So, for example, there are manufacturers out there who will sell to you knowing that you are only an online store, okay? And they're fine with that. There are other companies who will not want to work with you because their primary business model is to sell to retail stores, storefronts. And so that is where they make most of their money. And they know that online has a higher return factor, that is in every online business. It's not just scrubs, it's any kind of fashion, any business period that's online. People return things. So that seems more like a risk to them. And so you just have limited options. Now, you still have a lot of options? Yes, you still have a lot of manufacturers that you can work with that people wear every day. I sell a lot of merchandise that, people love, that are the top brands. So I won't name them because depending on your specific area and zip code, it may be different. The sales reps have territories that they are responsible for, and so it could change. Just company A scrubs, may sell to the East Coast online, and then company A may not sell to the West Coast. I don't know if that makes sense, but it depends on your area. It depends on your sales territory and your sales representative for that company. But there are ways for you to still sell the top merchandise. Okay. So I just want you to know that you don't have 100% access to every manufacturer. Okay. But that is a con. Okay. So we have to weigh everything out. The second con is that you do have a higher return rate on your merchandise. That is just a fact across the board with um, online e-commerce websites. So there are a lot of different strategies that I teach on how to decrease your return rate and make your customers happy and have returning customers and things like that. Because usually people return stuff obviously because they don't know how it fits. But if you are able to describe to them as in much detail as possible on your product description page, in your emails, and however you decide to communicate with your customer, you will have a lower rate of returns, and you have to be consistent. We need to see visuals, as many pictures, as possible. So having a photo shoot or having product photos, high resolution images are very key and important on your website. So there's a lot of different strategies, and that's a whole nother video that I can go on and on about. But those are things that you will have to deal with, and you have to figure out, or get some assistance on how to decrease that return rate. Okay. And then the other con, I would say, it's just a learning curve. That is something that if you're brand new to online business, you may have difficulty if you're doing it by yourself, just getting started with learning how to market and convert customers. And so, if that is something that you need help with, I can absolutely help you. I do have a class that I teach for female entrepreneurs about how to set up their Shopify website. And so, that is, what I use to host my online store, and it works really well. But that is something that I can support you on. But it is a learning curve if you're brand new. It's not something that's impossible, but it's absolutely something that you have to practice and learn. And so, as a result of that, that is the third con that I have here on my list, is that it's a learning curve in online marketing and advertisement. Okay. And so the pros that I have for an online store is that it's obviously a lower overhead. Okay. You can get started with your scrub store for very, low amount compared to a storefront. Okay. It really is going to, the biggest cost is going to be the inventory, and also, your website, and then a little bit of, marketing and branding and things like that. But it's still going to be cheaper getting started with an online store than it is with a storefront. And so that is one of the best things I can say that I really like about online store. And so you have a higher profit margin, overall compared to a storefront, because a lot of their profit margin is going to go back into the building that they're leasing, or back into, whatever they have to spend every month to run their store. So that's the first pro that I really like. The second one is that you can work literally from anywhere once your store is set up on automation, and you're doing things like, this, and you're getting orders and you're able to process them just by being on your computer. So, like, I'm out of the country right now, and I'm able to still process orders from hundreds and thousands of miles away from home. So that is one of my favorite pros to having an online store. And that's, any business, as far as online. If you have it set up in the right way, you can work from anywhere. And so that is what I enjoy. Um, Probably one of the best features of online. And then the third one that I love also as a pro is that you can reach so many people. It's unlimited because you have access to, the internet. The internet has access to you as a store owner. And so anyone that comes across your website in any country, if you sell to that country or any city or any state, they are able to order from you, and you are able to sell to them. Now, if you only have a storefront, you are only limited to your city or your town. So the impact of having your store available for other people to purchase that don't know you, have never even met you, is an amazing, amazing thing. That's the biggest thing about having an online business. So I definitely think that you should consider both options, but I think you should weigh out what's going to work best for your lifestyle and your budget, as well. And while you are working on that, I need you to, basically make sure that you are. Yes.
Do you need some anything else?
No.
We clean your room already,
Okay.
and then prepare watermelon for you with the fish, and then we will let go.
Okay. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. She didn't know I was recording a video. But yeah, so those are my pros and cons of opening up an online store, pros and cons of opening up a brick and mortar. Please weigh out the cost and make sure that you have done all of your research. Even with the online store, you still need to research who's in your zip code or in your area. Okay, guys. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments. You can email me at tina@goalsofaceomom.com. If you're interested in taking any of my courses or trainings, you can email me if you have questions, also. And thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful.